Welcome to the Ask the Experts show with local celebrity hosts Steve-O and Renee. Sit back each week while Steve-O and Renee educate you with live in-studio experts, such as lawyers, doctors, home improvement, and financial experts in their field. Call in and have your questions answered each week at 888-565-1470. Now, here is Steve-O and Renee with today's expert in their field.
Hey, good afternoon. We got another Ask the Expert show. This is the first Thursday of the month, which means K. Bender Rimbaum. We're missing Mr. K today, but we have Robert here, Michael here in the studio, and I love this show, and apparently so do the listeners because we get so many calls. Let me give you the phone number right now. It's 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. We'll take your calls, and this is K. Bender Rimbaum. They are community association attorneys, and I'm just going to turn it over to you now. Tell everybody about hello. K. Bender.
Hello. Yes, it is exciting. It's my first solo show. Mike Bender, Robert K., and Jeff Rimbaum could not join me today, so I'm excited to be here with you doing a show on December 1st. I can't believe it's already December. So happy holidays to everyone listening. And where are we getting started? who we are, what we do?
Because we get so many people that write us said this is the first time they've heard the show. So we have a lot of new people out there tuning in.
Well, good.
And we're also on FM now, too.
That's great.
95.3.
Yeah. Well, and it's a great listening hour if you're in your car and get an opportunity. So, K. Bender Rimbaum, as you mentioned, we are a full-service community association law firm. And what that means is we act as general corporate counsel to all of our association clients. And what that means is, and I say this, I happen myself live in an HOA, and I know many of us in South Florida do live in community associations, HOAs or condos, maybe some cooperatives. And while there are homes and there are friends and neighbors and relatives, and this is our residents, these are businesses. The businesses are from, they could be small, 5 unit to 5,000 homes. And in that capacity, you have a volunteer board of directors who steps up to run these businesses. And so they are running businesses, and in that capacity, they have hire experts to assist them, or should be hiring experts to assist them, whether it be management, accounting, insurance agents, and legal. And you want to have experienced legal counsel. This isn't your personal legal counsel. This is your business legal counsel. There's a lot of legal issues that come up daily in community associations. Yeah. And so we, at K. Bender Rimbaum, act as general corporate counsel for our clients, where we can assist them with day-to-day operations, everything from meetings and reviewing governing documents, interpreting governing documents, updating and amending governing documents, which is very important these days, contract preparation, contract negotiation, contract disputes, covenant enforcement, collection foreclosure matters. You have obviously the lifeblood of every association is everyone paying their assessments, and if people are not, we have a very aggressive approach to collections. In fact, a program where we advance costs and defer fees, carry the cost of the collection process. We're also online with our collection process, so any of our clients, when they turn matters over to us, they can look 24/7. They can see where the matters are in the process. They can see who owes how much, whether we have money held in trust, and the status of the case. And that's all free to our clients, and it's really nice. And like I said, we have experienced attorneys out of our offices in Pompano Beach and Palm Beach Gardens. We have in excess of, I think, 900 communities that we represent, and they go all the way from the Keys up to Daytona Beach. And so full service.
And this is all you do. It's not like a boutique. You don't do criminal law and family law. This is what you concentrate. It is all we
do. And we pride ourselves on bringing a lot of experience to the table. And I will say to those listening, if you're looking for either changing association counsel or even adding association counsel for particular matters, or just to compare apples to apples, we do bring a lot of experience to the table, but there are a lot of great lawyers in Florida, and some very good community association lawyers. But I do say our experience is second to none. Doesn't mean we're better than everybody else, but we do bring a lot of experience. But we also bring the customer service aspect. And someone says, well, what makes you different then? Well, the customer service aspect is what makes us different. When you hire a lawyer in a law firm, you want to know their experience. You want to know that you can rely upon them no matter what strange issue may arise. And that's something we bring. But you also want to know that they are accessible to you and that they are responsive. that you're. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to meet with boards who are frustrated because counsel that they have, they've reached out a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, and I haven't gotten responses. And that's mind-boggling to me that anybody, and I appreciate that because it's one of my best marketing tools. But it's that we are accessible and that we are responsive.
Customer service is very important.
Customer service is of prime importance. And as a lawyer in a law firm, we are a vendor to our clients just like any other vendor, the landscape guy, the lawn guy, the management company, the accountant. And we need to bring that high level of customer service. And that comes with your accessibility, that comes with your responsiveness, that comes with providing answers in English. Someone wants an opinion, they want guidance, they want to be able to understand it. They don't want to need to have someone else interpret for them. And it comes from not nickel and diming our clients. It comes from developing long-term relationships.
Well, I'm trying to get our board up. Do we have a call? Okay. Who's calling?
Yes, I have a question.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
Good. Thank you for calling. You have a question?
And who are
Yes,
we
I
speaking
do.
to?
I am part of a condo association, and if a surplus is accumulated during the year, what option does the association have in regard to that surplus?
Okay, I'm sorry, and your first name?
Anne.
Hi, Anne. Thanks for calling. So if there's a surplus at the end of the year, what are the options?
Right.
Okay. Well, the options generally lie with are you on your board of directors?
Yes.
Okay. The options generally lie with the board, and I would say that, in my opinion, the most likely option that is selected would be that when you're creating your budget for 2017 in this instance,
Yes.
you're anticipating what your expenses are, and then you might be able to use this surplus to reduce some of the upcoming expenses, which would allow you to avoid having to increase assessments in the future years. You also have the option of putting that money into a fund to utilize toward a project that you may have coming up in the future, so that you could avoid having to do any type of special assessment. I do have some clients, for example, when they've seen this surplus, they recognize the need for updating their documents. And updating your documents, depending on the nature of your documents and how much needs to be done with the update, budgeting for a project like that is important. And to be able to take some of that surplus and put it into an important project for the community going forward is another idea. The idea of returning the money to the membership, I think, is not an approach to be taken like by cutting. But you don't cut checks back to everyone because you're not a for-profit corporation. You don't distribute to the shareholders. But it's
Right.
done. It would be done in the way the way that would be done would be in the nature of being able to reduce assessments or not raise assessments. You would also, and I also would certainly recommend you also communicate with your. Hopefully, you have an experienced CPA on board assisting you with your end of year financials as well as your taxes, to make sure that you can avoid any tax obligations by utilizing those funds appropriately going forward.
Okay, so what we can do is use the. When can we do that? Or do we have time still left before the end of the year? When's the deadline when you can use up that money?
Well, what do you mean use the money?
Well, say, for example, we found that we have the surplus, and then we're preparing the budget for 2017, which we haven't passed yet.
Okay.
So can we use that surplus money still now?
You mean use it as in spend it this year, or use it as in within your
spending it
budget?
this year.
Pardon?
Spending it this year.
Well, if as long as it's on legitimate purpose, for a legitimate association purpose for which the board has the authority to do so.
Okay. Well, it would be on a project, say, for the common elements, or it would be like updating the documents, or toward a special project that we don't quite have enough money to complete.
Okay, and I would say updating the governing documents would certainly be within the board's discretion to use those funds. If it's a necessary maintenance-related item, like you mentioned with the common element, it would certainly be within the board's discretion to use those funds. The special project, that would depend on what type of project And then if it was, whether that was considered a necessary maintenance related item, or it might be considered a material alteration or capital improvement. And then if it was, so that would be the first question to review. And then once once we determine which way we go with that, if it's a material alteration or capital improvement, it may require a vote of the membership before you could use the funds. And that would be where you'd have to get with experienced counsel and ask them to review your documents and give the board proper guidance so that as a board, you can make a fully informed business decision.
Okay. So that for a major project, you probably wouldn't recommend it. But say, for example, if it was just for something that needs to be done in the common elements, that is in regard to, say, either painting or paving or the roof, then we might be able to use that money.
Correct. Now, as you know, and I'm sure you know just from the way you categorize those three, painting, paving, and roof are typically those are three statutorily mandated reserve accounts that all condominiums are supposed to maintain unless the membership is voted to waive those reserves. So if you had, a painting project that you wanted to undertake and you had some money in reserves but not quite enough, or perhaps the membership has always voted to waive reserves so you didn't have money there, absolutely that surplus could be applied to the project to reduce the need for you to hit the membership with a special assessment.
Very good. That's what I was very interested in finding out. Well, thank you. You've answered my question, and I really appreciate the time that you're doing this.
My pleasure.
And I hope that you continue doing so.
Well, we will be doing first Thursday of every month. And please also, you can also visit our website at kbrlegal.com, kbrlegal.com. It's obviously free to access. And on there are resources. There's a drop-down menu where you can review articles under Legal Morsels and Rembaum's Roundup. And there's some great articles on the topics you've asked about today, as well as other topics that you may or may not have thought about, which would give you some great education. And as we'll talk about shortly, we do a lot of education out of both of our offices that are free for all board members to attend, which would, I think, be something else that you and your fellow board members might like.
Excellent. Now, when is that schedule sent out? Is it at the beginning of the year?
Our schedule is up. We actually update our schedule monthly and at kbrlegal.com. Yep. I keep saying that because I want everybody to get that website down because it's got a bevy of information. And there's I mentioned there's the other there's another tab on there that talks about has a calendar and has our classes. Yeah. And like this month, for example, since we're on the topic, we actually just had what is today? December 1st. No, I'm sorry, next Tuesday, December 6th, we'll be actually holding a board member certification course for condominium board members. And that is in Pompano Beach on the 6th. And on the 21st, it'll be in Palm Beach Gardens. Now, where are you located?
We're located in Deerfield.
Perfect. Well, our Pompano Beach office is around the corner from you. It's on Copens and Andrews. And that's this evening class, 6:30 to 8:30 on Tuesday, free to attend. Light snacks included, and that's our Condominium Association board member certification class, and that's an outstanding ABCs of serving on your board. Gives great guidance, great information. Like I said, if you're in the Palm Beach Gardens area, that class is December 21st. We'll also be doing a Fair Housing Act class in Pompano Beach on December 20th in the evening. And in Palm Beach Gardens, we'll have classes for HOA board members on the 14th of December and the 2017 legal update on the 7th. And all of that information.
In Pompano?
I'm sorry?
What's the location in Pompano?
It is 1200 Park Central Boulevard, South. And it's Copens and Andrews. So it's in between Copens and Sample and Andrews and Powerline.
Okay.
And then, like I said, please go to the website, all listening, at kbrlegal.com. It tells you all about our great classes in Pompano Beach and Palm Beach Gardens. We also are doing a free seminar series, and that's Tuesday, December 13th, is the next seminar we're doing, Ask the Attorneys. And that's also in Pompano at the Emily Olson Civic Center.
Okay.
So get information on that from our website or call at 800-899-0680. Do I have that right? I always get made 954-928-0680.
And we're going to be going back over this again during the show.
I don't call my own number enough. But and thank you for the question and
Yeah.
also for that information, and that's great for all listeners. We encourage everyone, please come out to our free seminars. I'm going to talk a little bit more about them.
We're going to go to break right now. We come back.
Thank you,
We got
Ann.
a lot of things to go over today.
Bye-bye.
Well, we're going to be right back with my friend, Michael Bender, K. Bender Rimbaum.
Is your community association looking for prompt, effective, cost-efficient, and understandable legal advice and services? You'll find that and more with K. Bender Rimbaum, a full-service commercial law firm concentrating on the representation of more than 800 community associations throughout Florida. With offices in Broward and Palm Beach counties, K. Bender Rimbaum assists clients in all matters of association representation, including but not limited to collection of assessments, contract negotiation, covenant review and amendment, covenant enforcement, and construction defect claims. Under the direction of attorneys Robert K., Michael Bender, and Jeffrey Rembaum, K. Bender Rembaum is dedicated to providing clients with an unparalleled level of personalized and professional service regardless of their size and takes into account their individual needs and financial concerns. For more information, visit www.kbrlegal.com or call 954-928-0680.
And we're back. We have a board full of calls, but before I go, you guys won an award again this year.
We did, but we're up for an award again this year.
Up for award. But
you want to take the call
Yeah, we're
before
going
we
to take
do
the
that?
call. We're going to go to Hilga.
Hilga, you there?
Hello.
Hi, Hilga.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hear you fine.
Oh, good. Okay. I have a quick question. I'm on a board, and the board is not that strong, but we do have basic rules and regulations and docs, and we have one in particular resident who's been there a long time who feels that none of the basic rules apply to them. So they continuously break them. And then, we have to send them a letter and say, you need to register your cars. You need to let us know who all those people living in your unit are, things like this. And then he fires off emails very angrily accusing everybody of racism. And he's a white Hispanic, and our property manager is a black Haitian. And so he accuses her of being a racist. And so we seem kind of paralyzed. Nobody wants to confront him about all his numerous rules and regulations that he's breaking, including, his plumbing leaking into a common area and destroying property, all these things from this one unit. Mm-hmm. So what do you do when you're continuously documented and falsely accused of racism when that has nothing to do with the emails that you're sending him about all these problems he's creating?
Hi, Helga. Excellent question, and it's definitely a touchy subject, and it is definitely a subject matter which you do want to discuss in more specific detail with either your experienced association counsel, and if you don't have one, I do recommend getting one. In general, though, I can tell you what's most important here is that the board and your manager and management team are uniformly enforcing your restrictions and rules and regulations. So that if this gentleman is the only one in the community breaking rules and regulations, which I think you and I both would find a little bit hard to believe, then that'd be the only...
He isn't, but when other people are called out on it, they comply.
But there's letters showing that, but there are letters showing that other people have been sent letters saying, hey, this is a violation, please correct it, and they go ahead and do so.
Okay.
Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, because my point is if this gentleman
they get their cars registered.
Right. Good. See, because my point is, if in fact this gentleman chooses to not comply and throws out, and makes these false allegations of racism, that's where you want an experienced lawyer to then be brought in to address with this individual in a more firm way the offensive nature of the allegations and the fact that these violations need to be cleaned up and complied with. Now, I will tell you again, in our experience, and these over 25 plus years of continuous practice, KBR has been around. We've had just about every situation you can come up with, and this is one that has come up certainly more than a few times. And what I find to be most important is, now that doesn't mean this gentleman's not going to run to a fair housing agency and claim discrimination. But the important thing is to be able to properly defend a baseless allegation and hopefully get it put away very quickly. And the best way to do that is to make sure that as a board and as a management team, you are sending letters to everyone who's committing those violations, and then following up uniformly with everyone who doesn't comply. So if 5 people haven't registered cars, you send the same letter to him and the other 4. The other 4 people register their cars, then I write him, say you come to me and I then say, hey, listen, here's the situation. I get all the documentation. I'm comfortable with it. And I go ahead and I send him a more firm demand letter. You need to come into compliance. And if you don't come into compliance, then further legal action will ensue. He has 2 choices. Well, I suppose he has 3. He can ignore me. He can correct it. Or he can go and try to claim, hey, they're just coming after me because of from discriminatory purpose. The big part there is you can't stop someone from bringing a baseless action. What you can do, though, is be able to have the documentation to properly defend it.
Well, there really isn't anything we're preventing him from doing, like, renting out his unit or anything like that. He can't do that because he's not on the waiting list. But we're not denying him anything. We're just saying, here's what everybody else is doing. Here's what our rules say. Right. Here's what you need to do. So we're not discriminating against him in any way.
Oh, I believe I understand 100%. We deal, like I said, I've dealt with this many, many times. And you said you earlier said that we feel paralyzed. Well, don't feel paralyzed. So long as you're uniformly enforcing, and what I mean by that is if a complaint was made through HUD and a fair housing agency was investigating. And say I'm assisting you. I'm able to say, here's 5 letters we sent to 5 different people, all of 5 different races, let's say, although we don't know the race of everyone. That's part of the point. We don't keep track of who's what race, ethnicity, religion, etc. But a lot, so if you say we sent 5 letters to these 5 different people about the same violation, and these 4 people came into compliance, and the situation ended there. This particular gentleman refused to come into compliance, and that's the reason why we had to take it to the next level. And I would very much hope, as I've seen many times before, that you would have that case dismissed with no probable cause of discrimination, and we would then pursue him with the board's permission to come into compliance with the violation, and we would bring either arbitration or are you an HOA or a condominium?
Or a condominium.
So it would either be an arbitration action or court action, depending on the violation. But then again, the board has to be willing to step forward and pursue legal action, because if you fail to do so, and this gentleman's allowed to violate rules on and on for a year or 2 years, ultimately, you're going to run into a risk of waiving the ability to go after him for these violations, and as important, waiving the ability to go after anybody for those same violations, or you'll run into a selective enforcement offense. So it's very important. But you bring up an excellent question, an excellent point.
He sabotages people.
Pardon?
He sabotages people. He'll go out and key your car, or he'll pile up furniture outside the dumpster room and blame it on one of the board members leaving it there. Those kind of passive-aggressive things.
I understand. And those are difficult things to deal with. Sometimes if you can get security cameras in place, that might help, or witnesses. But it's important, like I said, you bring up an excellent topic, and all board members need to understand this. Uniform enforcement, it will help avoid allegations of discrimination, especially when they're baseless.
I see what you're saying. Okay. All right. Well, that's a good answer. Thank you so much for taking my question.
Thanks for calling, Hilga. Do we still have Michael on the phone?
I'm here. Yeah.
Thanks for calling, Hilga.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Hilga. Michael, you there?
Yes, I am.
Thanks for holding.
Okay, I have 2 questions. They're related to condominiums. The first one is, can the ordinary owners know the salaries of the manager who is hired by a management company?
Okay. The personnel information of the manager, such as that type of documentation, is not open to inspection. However, in the budget, if there's a line item for the manager's salary, obviously the budget is something that is open to inspection, so the information can be obtained that way. But personnel
What if
records
all
of
the
the
money
manager
goes
or of the
to-
association employee or the management company employee are not open to official records. W-9s, any of those things are not part of the inspection.
Okay. The second question has to do with occupancy. Our documents call for a maximum occupancy of 2 persons per bedroom. I was told recently that there is a federal law that overrides whatever documents say and say that the limitation is 200 square feet per person. So if you have a large apartment, you could, in my apartment, for instance, I could have 11 people in my apartment, if they're right. So
Wow.
what is your interpretation?
Well, I will tell you candidly, and I think any lawyer should be candid at all times, I have not heard of that federal legislation. I am not aware of it. I have not seen it written anywhere. It's not been on any of my attorney listservs, so I can't tell. I don't know how accurate that is. I would be interested if anyone listening, or if you have a copy of such legislation, to email it to me
No,
at
I don't.
mbender@kbrlegal.com. But no, I am not aware of that type of legislation.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thanks,
Thank you
Michael,
for calling.
Hey, we have another call. Let's go to Samantha. Hi, Samantha.
Hi.
You have a question?
Oh, yes, I do.
Samantha, it's a little hard to hear you. Can you maybe get closer to the phone?
I'm so sorry. Can you hear
Perfect.
me
Thank
now?
you.
Some of my board members in my condo community are considering a rule that no firearms can be kept. And can we do this? And
I'm
I guess
sorry.
I'd like to know how.
They're considering a rule saying no firearms where?
On the grounds or in our homes.
Okay. That is
Can we
a
even
very
do that?
interesting question. And I would answer it this way. It's debatable. First of all, if the board, the first step here is, does the board have the authority to make rules on their own, or do they need membership support? That would be the first. That would be the first question. If the board needs membership support, obviously the board can't adopt any rules without passing it through the membership. Second part would be, if the board has the authority to adopt rules, does that authority extend to rules governing both the common property, which is typical, as well as the units or the homes, which is usual but not always. So you'd have to answer those first two questions. For purposes of this discussion, let's presume the answer is the board has the authority to adopt rules, and those rules can govern the entire property. I would say I think that the answer to the question is likely that such a rule, I think that such a rule could be seen as being enforceable, although I think there might be some debate over Second Amendment rights. I think the bigger issue you have, in particular, I think adopting the rules saying no firearms in the common area or common element, I think that's a much more secure rule that can be adopted and enforced. I think when you try to tell someone you can't have firearms within your home, within your unit or your parcel, that becomes a much more difficult rule to even enforce.
Right.
So I think that's
that
really,
makes sense.
and that's really, I think, where that would end right now. I would end with that right now.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you for the
Samantha.
call.
Hey, perfect timing. We can go to a break, and we come back. We have a lot of things you're going to be doing this
We do.
month.
Great calls, though.
Yeah, right back.
Is your community association looking for prompt, effective, cost-efficient, and understandable legal advice and services? You'll find that and more with K. Bender Rembaum, a full-service commercial law firm concentrating on the representation of more than 800 community associations throughout Florida. With offices in Broward and Palm Beach counties, K. Bender Rembaum assists clients in all matters of association representation, including but not limited to collection of assessments, contract negotiation, covenant review and amendment, covenant enforcement, and construction defect claims. Under the direction of attorneys Robert K., Michael Bender, and Jeffrey Rembaum, K. Bender Rembam is dedicated to providing clients with an unparalleled level of personalized and professional service regardless of their size and takes into account their individual needs and financial concerns. For more information, visit www.kbrlegal.com or call 954-928-0680.
And we are back. Got a lot of phone calls so far in the first half of the show. We have Michael Bender here with us. He's one of the senior partners of K. Bender Rembam. They're association attorneys, and man, this show is just really taken off. We get some really good calls now. If you'd like to call, you have a question for Michael, call us at 888-565-1470, 888-565-1470. And I was getting ready to say before, you're up for an award. You're from.
It is. It's the 4th annual Florida Community Association Journal Reader's Choice Awards, and we are the proud recipients of the law firm, of the Reader's Choice for favorite law firm 3 years running. There are different tiers, and we've won the Diamond Award, which is the highest level, I believe, for the last 2 years. And we thank all of our supporters, people who vote. I think there are clients of ours who vote, and I think there are other vendors in the industry who we have done a lot of good work with and who support us, and we appreciate that. We do, and I think there's a lot of people who perhaps don't work with the firm, but who come to a lot of our education, and they show their appreciation for us continuing to give that education to the masses, if you will, by supporting us through voting for the Florida Community Association Journal Reader's Choice. And you can cast your vote at, you can go onto our website, I believe, and there's a link there. That's probably the easiest way, at kbrlegal.com. But also, if you're on our email list, when we send a blast out, there's a link you can just click on, and we appreciate the support. It's nice to be recognized. But more importantly, we do appreciate giving the education and assisting our clients in ways that make the lives of their management team and the board members easier, because volunteering is difficult enough.
Okay. Can we take another call?
We'll take another call. Then
Let's
we can
go to
talk about
Linda.
our programs. Hi, Linda.
Yes, hello. I'm calling to ask the question about I'm in a condominium where the board does not follow the Florida statute nor the declaration of condominium. We are putting on a $983,000 roof. They did not allow us to see any quotes, nor did they allow us to vote on the contract. Additionally, they're bringing in an air conditioning company to disconnect and reconnect the air conditioners, and then we must retain them to maintain our air conditioning at $44 a month, which goes over $500 a year. And I currently have a contract for air conditioning, all of my appliance, electrical, and plumbing for $335. How does one stop the board from doing those things?
Well, that was a lot. I will tell that. Let me address. There's a few items you mentioned as far as the roof. If the roof required replacement, the board does not need to go to the membership to vote on the contract, even if your governing documents say that it did. Because when you have a roof that requires replacement, that's what's called necessary maintenance, and the board would have the authority to undertake that necessary maintenance. Now, however, they are required, the bids that they obtain, and they would need a minimum of 2, and usually it's 3 or more, and certainly on a project of that size, I would suggest they probably want to get at least 4 or 5. The bids they obtain and the contract they ultimately select, all of that is part of the official records, open to inspection. The vote on the contract should have taken place at a properly noticed open board meeting. If the board was adopting a special assessment to pay for the roof, that requires particular 14-day notice and proper documentation. So there are a lot of issues here involved. If you feel there are things that have been done which are not in accordance with Florida statutes or your governing documents, then you can contact the Florida Division of Condominiums and they do have local offices here in the Fort Lauderdale area as well as in Palm Beach, and you can ask them if they would investigate what you believe to be violations of the governing documents and the Florida statutes, and if it's within their jurisdiction, they will do so and help get further answers to your questions. With regard to the air
we did
I'm sorry.
A complaint was the term that was used with them, and they said that was not within their jurisdiction, and they could only do records requests. Records requests.
Well, if there's questions regarding expending of association funds improperly, they do have jurisdiction over that, or at least I've seen them take jurisdiction over that. So, I guess it might depend on how the complaint is worded, but that's something you would have to check with them. And a second option is if they say they don't have jurisdiction, you could always file an arbitration complaint alleging that the board is not following the governing documents or statutes. That would cost $50, and you'd have to file a petition for arbitration with the division, and they would then review it and determine if they're going to accept jurisdiction, and then if so, they would require the association to answer. Know that in that type of situation, though, that there is the possibility that if you were to bring an arbitration action and be unsuccessful, you might be responsible for attorney's fees. Now, of course, if you hired an attorney, they would.
I have met with an attorney,
right?
And at any rate, but not to go into that. Back to the roof, they are using the wide green PACE financing, and trying to do a wide green roof. They have never done one, and they're trying to change. They're modifying from a flat roof.
I see. That's a different. Yep, you've added facts. See, that's important. You've added new facts. So you're saying not only are they doing a necessary maintenance, though, but they're making a material alteration to the roof.
Yes.
Okay, and as I mentioned to the earlier caller, that's an analysis of your governing documents that would need to be undertaken to determine whether if there is an alteration, would that alteration require a vote of the membership? But that would necessitate reviewing the facts more closely and your governing documents.
And we have presented all of that, and they do not give the owners any right. They just take everything, not only this, but everything.
Well, how many owners are there?
Not given any rights whatsoever, and I would like to know where I can go.
How many owners are there?
I've already I've contacted the Attorney General's office.
Linda, how many owners are there?
We're getting a group together to go to Tallahassee because something has to be done.
Okay, Linda, can I ask you a question? How many owners are there in your condominium?
152.
And do a lot of them share your frustration?
The majority, yes.
Well, then the majority should simply take control. That can be done one of two ways. That can be done at an annual election, or if the annual election is more than 60 days away, then it can be done through they can be done through a recall process.
Okay, we're aware of all that, but this board has set up such a fearful environment that everyone's afraid to do anything. And not only that, they took a look at the PACE financing, and they were denied because they said that the condo unit was not worth it. And we're talking about $6,000 to $7,000 per unit. Okay, and my feeling is what's going to happen is the majority of the owners are going to go into foreclosure. Or at least a lien situation, because the board will put a lien if the assessments are not paid, and they want us to start paying the assessments before the work begins, because this contractor cannot financially carry the work.
Right. Well, again, you've presented some very frustrating issues, and I believe I've given you several different options. Unfortunately, if the membership...
We have pursued all those options, sir.
I'm sorry?
And all of the options that you have referred to, we have already pursued.
Right. Well,
With-
then
with
you're
no help.
the
And-
option remaining with you, as you mentioned, is you already sought out your own attorney, and it's to bring your own legal action to force them to do what's right.
and it could cost up to $50,000, which this community cannot afford. So that's technical. But sir, I won't take any more of your time.
I'm sorry to hear that you're going through it, but I appreciate the call.
Okay,
Thank you, Linda. Wow.
That's a tough situation.
That is tough. Hey, let's get it. You've got a lot of things coming up this month that people would love to know about.
We do. Well, let's start with, and first I do want to thank all the callers. The calls have been great today, and it's already where we're at. But before we go to our next break, I just want to talk about our Ask the Attorney free seminar series. We kicked it off last month in Tamarack, and we had about 75, 80 people attend, asking fantastic questions, we had a 2-hour schedule. Of course, we went closer to 3.
That's a good turnout.
Well, it's really, yes, the turnout's appreciated, but the attendees come, and the Ask the Attorney seminar series has been created by us. It's our 9th annual, and it was created to allow people to come and set the agenda. So what we ask is, RSVP to these seminars so that we have enough food and drink, and bring with you your subject matter, your specific questions or general topics that you want to discuss. And it is in a town hall type format, and they're really like I said, we kicked it off in Tamarack last month. I was really I left there really fired up. I thought the crowd was the attendees were outstanding. The questions were great. There was a lot of excellent back and forth dialogue. The feedback we got was very positive, and we always appreciate that. And we're going to continue this series. The next one is Tuesday, December 13th, at the Emma Lou Olson Civic Center in Pompano Beach. It's evening, 6:45 to 8:30 is the schedule. And they'll continue then in January at the Nob Hill Clubhouse in Sunrise, and at Art Serve in Fort Lauderdale on January 18th and 31st, respectively. And in February, we have them set up in Delray at the South County Civic Center and at the Herb Skolnick Center in Pompano. Those are currently scheduled. I'm proud to say that Community Cable Consultants, Marcy Gershoni, who is an excellent cable consultant, she and her company will be sponsoring 2 of those programs. And so if you attend the Nob Hill or the South County Civic Center programs, you'll also be able to get additional information for your communities looking to consider bulk products, cables, etc. Also, at the South County Civic Center on the February 16th, 2J's is going to be providing lunch, which for all attendees, which is very generous of them. And some of our other programs, 2J's is going to provide some beverages, so we thank 2J's for that. But RSVP to KBR Legal Seminar at pearsongrant.com, PIERSON. But phone callers, best way is kbrlegal.com. Go to our website, look up the Ask the Attorney seminar series, or call us at 954-928-0680. Ask about the free Ask the Attorney seminar series. We'll make sure we get your names on the RSVP list, and then we will follow up with an email confirming your attendance and the location. Tuesday, December 13th, 6:45 p.m. at the Emma Lou Olson Civic Center on 1801 Northeast 6th Street in Pompano Beach is the next one. Come on out.
Okay, let's go to break. And looks like you've got a lot more that's coming up this month, too. So we'll be right back. The name of the firm is K. Bender Rimbaum. They're with us the first Thursday of each month. And let's go to break. And when we come back, we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
We got to wrap it up with good stuff.
Is your community association looking for prompt, effective, cost-efficient, and understandable legal advice and services? You'll find that and more with K. Bender Rimbaum, a full-service commercial law firm concentrating on the representation of more than 800 community associations throughout Florida. With offices in Broward and Palm Beach counties, K. Bender Rimbaum assists clients in all matters of association representation, including but not limited to collection of assessments, contract negotiation, covenant review and amendment, covenant enforcement, and construction defect claims. Under the direction of attorneys Robert K., Michael Bender, and Jeffrey Rembaum, K. Bender Rembaum Rimbaum is dedicated to providing clients with an unparalleled level of personalized and professional service regardless of their size and takes into account their individual needs and financial concerns. For more information, visit www.kbrlegal.com or call 954-928-0680.
And we're back here for the last 15 minutes. We're here with Michael Bender. He's one of the senior partners with K. Bender Rimbaum. They're with us the first Thursday of each month. And, boy, there's been some great questions today.
Great calls. And it's what we love. Like I mentioned just before we went to break about our Ask the Attorney seminar series, it's the attendees who come with questions like that. and it enables and I will say this. If you come to one of our Ask the Attorney seminar series, I know you're going to walk out of there with a bevy of information and really feel like it was a worthwhile 2 hours plus. Additionally, I see a lot of repeaters come to future programs because no two are alike. The agenda is set by the attendees. So if you have some questions, you come, you ask your questions, then you sit back and listen. And there are people in that room bringing up questions and topics, on official records, on guest restrictions, on fair housing issues, on collection foreclosure, on bank foreclosures, on just, it runs the gamut. Some of the calls we had
were
today.
there. We saw people that have questions and all of a sudden they think of another question they had.
Right. Or someone in the room says, oh, that's good. That's happened with me. And and I tell you what, sometimes there'll be a board member or a manager in the room that says similar situation arose and here's something how we handled it. Because again, and I want to point out, as good association lawyers, our job for our clients is to make sure that we get all the facts and that we use those facts and the knowledge of the law and our experience in this arena to provide all the options, to give board members the options. If there are multiple options, say, hey, here's option A, cost-benefit analysis, your risk level. What do you want to do? Option B, if there's a second option. When there's a recommendation to be made, we make it. But most importantly, you then sit as board members around that table with your management team, if you have, your manager, and they're your business advisors. And you then can make a fully informed business decision. It's not the job of me, as of a good lawyer, to make your business decisions, but it's the job of a good association lawyer to make sure your business decisions are made where you're fully informed and so you feel comfortable doing it, meeting your fiduciary duty. And that's what K. Bender Rimbaum brings to the table every day.
I don't see how any board member would want to try to do this by themselves
you need
without counsel.
Well, good experienced counsel.
Yes.
Not any counsel.
But I got to say, board members are not professional board members. And I got to tell you, because we've been doing this almost 3 years now, I love the way you talk to people. You make it so they can understand. You break it down for them. And as a board member, I want someone that I don't have to feel stupid.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. And we do. And like I said earlier, that's part of, I think, our customer service aspect is we want to bring to the table, we want people to be able to reach out to us, get answers right as quickly as we can give them to them, and that's why we are accessible, we are responsive, but in a way that they can understand it, and then if it leads to additional questions, we can follow up. But it's the way we handle all of our clients, whether you're 5 units or 5,000 units, it matters not to us. You're the same.
You've never asked anybody how many units they have?
No, it doesn't matter to me. But also, it's the same way we do our programs, our education programs. We want people to leave there, that they came out, it was well worth it. That they left with a lot of good information.
The information's better than the free food. Trust me.
The food's
so
fine.
let's you've got a lot of stuff here that's coming up.
Yeah. So in addition to the Attorney Seminar Series, we also have some classes I mentioned briefly. We do classes out of our Pompano Beach and our Palm Beach Gardens offices. And in December, next Tuesday, December 6th, in Pompano Beach, we will have our Condominium Association Board Member Certification course. And on Tuesday, December 20th, we're going to have a fair housing class, talking about assistance animals or pets. Those are both in Pompano Beach in the evening. Not only are they for managers, of course, board members, but any managers who attend do get free CAM credits. So they're encouraged to attend as well. Bring your board members and get your own credits. Palm Beach Gardens has 3 classes, Wednesday the 7th, Wednesday the 14th, Wednesday the 21st, all starting 6 p.m. The 7th is going to be the 2017 legal update. The 14th, and that goes over changes from 2016. The 14th will be their HOA board member cert, and the 21st is the condo board member cert. RSVPs are required because space is limited in both our offices. You can reach out to info@kbrlegal.com or call 800-974 0680. Sounds right to me. Or just go to our website. At kbrlegal.com and send an email, and we'll make sure to get you registered. All right?
Can we take a call?
Yes, we take one call.
Sylvia,
how are you?
Thanks. I'm glad you got me in because we have an issue, and it always gets worse around the holidays. So our bylaws state that nobody under 18 can live in our condo. It doesn't matter if their parents live there, their legal guardians or owners or renters. They can't be there if they're 18. But we're not a 55 or older community. So how can we go about enforcing this? And, I mean, is it even legal for us to try and enforce this?
Right. Well, you nailed it on the head with that last part. If you again, and I offer, thank you for the call, Sylvia, and I will answer your question. But I just want everybody listening to understand this is important. You provide the facts to your attorney, and it's our job then, based on the facts you give us, to provide you proper guidance. Based on what you have just stated to me, you have language in your declaration that says no one under 18 can live here. However, you're not a 55 and over community. So what that means to me is, if you try to enforce that provision, the board is exposing themselves and the association to a potential successful claim of discrimination against families with children. And that is a protected class, and that is something that could cause the association to face monetary penalties. So if you're not a 55 and over community, my recommendation is twofold. First, and most importantly, I would amend that section out of the declaration. And so, because you're not a 55 and unless you qualify to be a 55 and over, and then you can amend your documents to add language making you a 55 and over community. So you have two options. If you can qualify as a 55 and over, which means that at least one person 55 or over permanently resides in the unit, and at least 80% of the units meet that criteria, and that no one under the age of 18 permanently resides there.
If we go that route and we try and add this language, can we be accused of being discriminatory as we try and get this added?
No. Now, let me ask you a question. How many units are you?
Oh, we don't have that many units. We've got about, I should know, it's on the word, 260?
Well, that's quite a few. The reason I ask is, would you have any idea of the number of units that would qualify for? Do you have 80% of them 260, or are there a lot of children in the neighborhood?
It seems like there's a lot of children, but I think we're probably 80%.
Right. Well, no. The idea is, you're not going to be found discriminatory simply because you're trying to pass an amendment to allow the community to move toward 55 and over status. So that answers that question. But in the meantime, since you're not 55 and over based on the facts you provided, you shouldn't be looking to enforce that. And unless you're going to try to move toward 55 and over status, my advice would be to amend the document to remove the 18 and the under 18 language. And in the interim, since amending may take some time, the board should adopt a resolution that clearly states that they are not enforcing the 18 and under 18 language.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad I called, because especially at the holidays when all the kids are running around, this gets really sticky. So I'm glad I called.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Call back anytime. Thanks, Sylvia.
Okay, thank you.
A lot of calls today.
Yeah, that's a good call. Now, and Sylvia, know that is a very important, the subject you bring to the table. It has to do with fair housing. It has to do with possible discrimination. It has to do with updating your documents, and it has there are a lot of legal ramifications there. So anyone involved in a situation that remotely resembles what Sylvia brought up should be reaching out to experienced counsel. And if you don't have one, please look for one. You can start at kbrlegal.com.
Stop being so humble.
You can start at kbrlegal.com. But again, most importantly, get experienced counsel to assist you so you don't run into these problems. As far as what we were talking about and wrapping up, because I know we're running short on time. Yeah, so kbrlegal.com. We have our seminar schedule there, and we encourage everyone to look at our seminar schedule. One seminar that I have not mentioned, which we're proud to present on December 8th, in our offices in Pompano Beach, we are hosting a webinar. It is an online meeting, and we're inviting, space is limited, but we're inviting people to come on in, or you can join the meeting online. And it's being sponsored by Vote HOA Now, which is one of the companies out there that is does provide the electronic voting service. And electronic voting now, with the change in the laws of last year, 2015, is a very popular movement, and it's one that we support. However, there are a lot of loops to jump through and hoops to jump through. But any board members or management team that wants to consider electronic voting, and not just for elections, but for waiving of reserves and or for the voting on amendments, should consider attending this December 8th webinar either in our office in Pompano Beach or joining the meeting online. And if you're interested in that information, you can reach out to us at info at kbrlegal.com or call the office at 954-928-0680 and let everybody know you're interested in, them know you're interested in the December 8th webinar on online voting, and we can get you signed up, or we can forward you information to be able to join the meeting from your home. So that's what we have going on.
What a great idea.
Yep. And then on December 6th, by the way, we will be at the Cooperator Expo. Come by our booth, say hello, get some information, speak to the attorneys. And one of our attorneys, Lisa McGill, will be sitting on a panel on security issues at the Cooperator, 2:45 p.m., and that's at the Broward County Convention Center. Again, kbrlegal.com for all this information. And it's been a pleasure being here by myself.
This is the first time in 3 years you've been here by yourself.
I loved it.
Had a lot of good calls today.
It was great calls.
And listen, they're with us the first Thursday of the month from the 5 to 6 hour. And if you have any questions, give me your phone number again.
954-928-0680 is Pompano Beach. 561-241-4462, Palm Beach Gardens. 800-974-0680, I'm saying with more confidence. We'll reach either office. But you can also get us at info at kbrlegal.com. K is in K-A-Y-E, Bender. B is in Bender. R is in Rembaum. kbrlegal.com. Great website. A lot of information on there. Like I said, resources, our calendar for the events. And we hope to see you guys at our classes. And if we can help provide legal services.
Great day. And we'll be back next week with more Ask the Experts. Have a wonderful week. Peace and love. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show with Steve-O and Renee. Tune in every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.